just want to start by acknowledging we are on the homeland of the many diverse First Nations and Métis people whose ancestors have walked this land since time immemorial. We are grateful to work, live, and learn on the traditional territory of Treaty 8. Now, can I get an adoption of the agenda motion? Councillor Wakel makes that motion. Any changes, alterations needed?
Through your worship, there is one additional item, which is an in-camera item dealing with Section 17 and 25 of the Freedom of Information Act and Section 197/2.
So that'll be 17.0 or 17.1? Yeah.
17.0.
Okay, 17.0. Okay. Anything else?
As amended.
Okay, we've got the amended motion. All in favor?
Is Sasha not here?
Sasha, yeah, she got her hand up.
Okay.
There's a little bit of a lag. I think there's a slight lag there, yeah. All right, we don't have any scheduled delegations. I guess we'll look at Richard to see if we have a public delegation. No? All right. With that, then, we'll move right on to item 3.1, the Fire Chief's report. Can I get a motion on that? Oh, Councillor Dunn.
The Council receives the Fire Chief's August-September 2022 report for information.
Thank you. And I'll turn it over to the Chief. Give us the highlights there.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So, as you were aware, I took off with some holidays, so that's why I'm presenting August and September today. I had the fire department under the auspices of Deputy Chief Michael Caron, and he managed to hold the fort and make sure everything was run efficiently, so I was appreciative to him taking over that. Couple things, just some highlights there. I attended an elevator course in Grand Prairie. It was informational, and I enjoyed it. And the reasoning for that is because our town is getting more and more structures that do have elevators in them. I counted approximately 7 at least. So my intention is to hopefully get around and get some inner knowledge of the types of elevators that we have, so that basically we do a pre-plan and we're prepared for in the event that there is an issue with the elevators. So got that looking at and under control. Just something, was it last year or year before, we invested in new breathing air packs, SCBA, and they come with lifetime warranty, and there's been a couple of issues with them now. So basically I send them out, they get repaired, and they get shipped back to us, and there's no charge. So it's kind of a win-win. I'm happy that we went down that path. And typically the costs or expenses would be anywhere between $600 and $800 for just a repair of the previous SCBA. So that's a good thing that I'm happy that we went down that. Just on the fire inspections activities that I've been doing, there is one building in town here. As I noted on here, I did the 3rd visit, and they are still not complying with safety codes expectations or fire codes expectations for fire suppression systems. And I've made them aware of that. They need to get it fixed up, and there has been inspection fees assessed, and the first one is the $125. If I have to go back there again, according to the bylaw, it'll be $500. So hopefully they will get things moving in the right direction. Just a couple of pointers, I guess, from this past week. We hit a new milestone in my experience with the fire department. We had 3 structure fires in less than a week. And in one of those structure fires, we actually had a person inside that my firefighters had to do a rescue, and came out on a positive side. So the person is doing well, and very, very proud of the team that showed up that day. We basically saved a life, so that was a good thing. A little bit of information. So of those 3 fire calls that we've had, our response times range from 5 minutes, 8 minutes, and 9 minutes. So, and The one at 6 o'clock in the morning was 8-minute response time. So everybody's getting out of bed, getting dressed, getting to the hall, and getting the trucks to the scene in 8 minutes. And I think that is fantastic. Do we hit those times all the time? No, but it is a goal that we strive for. And again, just something to know. Working on the budget with Rita right now, and things are basically looking where I'm trying to hold budget lines. I have seen increases. You will be aware, or probably are aware, that Mr. Trudeau is increasing taxes and all kinds of stuff, and I'm realizing that that is a trickle down to me, but I'm looking at my budget, and from what I can see right now, I'm expecting that I should be able to maintain what I asked previous years. I'm jockeying things around and making some adjustments, and hopefully work for me. A bonus that I have found out, we are on a contract with Grand Prairie Dispatch it was for 5 years, and there was a 4% increase annually. This year, because they've gone to the next gen 911 system, which is upgrading our 911 system, they've reviewed them, and I've actually got an email from the guy that's in charge. So they're dropping our 911 dispatch fees, but we are also having to add fees, I guess, to compensate for the what's called mobile CAD that we'll have in our units. So we're having fees added. So the drop in cost and the addition of cost is basically balancing it out, and my dispatch fees are going to kind of come out equal. So we're getting an improved system basically at the same cost. So I'm happy with that too. So I submit my report to council. If you guys have any questions, let me know.
All right, thank you. Councillor Weichel.
Just a couple questions there. Trevor, the fourth bullet, I'm pretty sure that's fixed.
Actually, no, not really.
Hey, I couldn't resist.
I couldn't resist adding it in there.
Yeah,
sorry.
well, I couldn't resist taking a shot. You knew that was going to happen. You attended a mock exercise with Nutrain for an anhydrous release event. Like ammonia, hydrogen chloride, both?
Ammonia.
Ammonia, okay.
So it's at the plant that's west of town here, just before the golf course, on
Okay.
the north side of the highway there.
Okay, all
So
right.
that's where that facility is,
Okay.
and that's what they have stored in that facility.
Oh, okay, all right. Because I was wondering if there's a lot of that around here, but if there's a plant, clearly there is. And yeah, that was it. That was the only questions that I had. Thanks, Trevor.
Cool.
Councillor Daneka.
Could you give us an update on the tender and engine?
So Jason, fire chief for county, Lucy, myself, and Everett went to Brandon. Actually, it's just south of Brandon. We visited the Acres plant, and the tender that was accepted by the county was actually, it's sort of a new used. It's basically kind of gone around as a demo unit. That unit, I think, if I remember correctly, if you were to buy it new, would be about $680,000, and they've getting it for something just under $500. So it's a pretty nice unit. It's a 3,000 gallon tender unit. There's a couple of modifications that are getting done to it to make it suit our needs, because it had some other things that they had on it that we didn't need. They had like a water filtration system, that kind of stuff. So they're doing some modifications, and I talked to Jason today, and actually he doesn't have any update, but they are expecting it I'm expecting it probably mid-November-ish, it would be my guess. The engine rescue, when we went there, the body was in manufacture, so they basically had the body components welded and assembled. We kind of looked at all of the cabinet space and how it's going to kind of meet our needs, and I'm thinking that it should meet our needs of what we've planned out, and it looks like it's a pretty decent unit. It was interesting to see the plant too. They've got some pretty interesting pieces of equipment there. It's on a colony just south of Brandon, and they do some pretty cool things there. So it was fun. It was good to visit there. We will be doing our final for the tender by video conference. So basically, they're going to just show us the changes and whatnot, because I've already seen it in person. We're going to be doing the final for that tender by video conference. So.
Okay, all done there? Anyone else?
Just a quick follow-up.
Sure.
It's coming from Brandon, Manitoba, the truck.
Yes, sir.
Are they going to put that on a train to bring it here, or are they going to drive it here?
No, so everything's driven.
Okay.
So they get basically 2 people. They drive it out, do a training session on it, so that everybody understands all the nuances and whatnot with the unit, and then they leave it here and head back home.
All right. And pass on our thanks to the guys and girls that you got over there doing a hell of a job. Appreciate
Thank you.
it.
I will do that.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, I had a couple of questions. You mentioned 3 new fire calls and a rescue that you had to make. Are those just in the last month kind of thing?
No, last
Oh,
week. Less than a
last
week.
Less
We had
than-
3 structure fires in less than a week, and that is a first for me in 29 years on the fire department. So, and in fact, we had 2 structure fires in the same day.
Is that all in town?
Yes. Yeah. So, and again, the other one was we have, in my time with the fire department, we've never actually had to go in and take somebody out, and that occurred the other day as well. So, my guys, they performed flawlessly, and I actually watched the video, and between getting their packs on and getting in and getting out was about 2 minutes. So it was done well.
Oh, excellent. That's good to hear. And 3 fires, they were all like accidental electrical fire, or it just seems odd to have 3 in a room.
Accidental / human error, I guess, if you want to call it something, human failing,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the other question I had, what happens if the business doesn't meet the fire code? At some point, do they get shut down?
The process that we have right now is I go through the first and second inspection. Third one is assessed the 125. Fourth one is assessed 500, and 500 thereafter. And if they still are not wanting to comply, then I can go through Safety Codes Council, which is a long, laborious process. I'm sure I haven't gone down that path. Hopefully I don't have to go down that path, but with all the steps that I've taken, if it does eventually go to arbitration or court or whatever you want to call it, they will look at the tracking that I have and say, listen, you've been giving numerous opportunities to make changes, and the fines will be assessed. So again, I'm hoping I don't have to go down that path, but my intention is for the people to see the reason for the safety need, right? And it's not just small little knick-knacky kind of issues that I'm looking at. It's like a fire suppression system that is required and it is needed. So, and yeah.
All right. Thank you for that. I don't see any other hands up. So with that, thank you for your report.
Thank you.
We had a motion to receive for information. All in favor? Thank you. Moving on then to our minutes from September 27th. Get a motion on that. Councillor Yushishin.
The council approves the minutes from the September 27th, 2022 regular meeting of council is presented.
All right, is there any errors or omissions? Councillor Waco?
I apologize for my absence from the last meeting. I was coming back from Edmonton and didn't make it in time. Hang on a second. Nope, shutting up now. The public delegations, I didn't think it had been listed, but then they were all in bold, so
No.
that threw me off. So I'm blind. All good.
All right. Anything else? All right. At a motion to receive, all in favor? Carried. Moving on then, is there any business arising from the minutes before we move off of them? Seeing none, we'll move on to our item 8.1, the Halloween decorating contest. Can I get a motion on this? Councillor Dunn?
The council approves to have the 7th annual Halloween decorating contest with the same format as previous years.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Daneka?
Where was the money coming from? I mean, I know it wasn't a huge amount to cover the first, second, third place signs that they get.
Unfortunately, being new, Kelly and I couldn't find the actual process or what it was that was being done, so I didn't realize there was a prize of any kind. So I'm guessing it would be your advertising budget for council,
Okay.
which you do have some funds in there.
Okay, because
That's-
I was wondering if it came out of our sponsorship or where it actually came from to do the first, second, and third place posters that were be given out to whomever the winners would be.
If it's just a poster,
Well,
it's a certificate of some kind.
it's a small little sign that Halloween says on there: first place, second place, third place.
Are
Yeah.
they something that we can do internally that we could put on poster board, which would be basically no cost?
To be honest, I'm not sure where they came from. Alan Lou may know because he was usually the one that delivers them, so I don't know if he got them through Tammy Kalita and she made them up. I'm not sure.
We'll do more research on this.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, anything else? Oh, Councillor Dunn?
Research would be good because we need to know the process. That's what the recommended action is, right? We use the same format as previous years. So it'd be good to know what previous years were about.
We were actually hoping that maybe council could shed some lights on it, as we couldn't find documentation easily through, like we couldn't find the first contest rules or anything in the RFDs, so we weren't sure how it all unfolded.
Is there any documentation of who that committee was? Or?
Well, there was never a
There
committee.
was never a committee. Basically, people submitted their photos of their home or a home under whether it's the traditional display or a modern display with the address. And then it goes out on the town's Facebook page, and the people vote on it, and the one with the most votes got first, second, third in either the traditional display or the modern display.
Okay.
That's all it was. Like, it was nothing no committee was assigned, and then, like I said, we had constable, like, once it was decided who won, I think the closing was like the 29th, and then it was decided, and then the poster, the little signs for their yard signs were picked up by Alan Bloom, and then he was the one with Erica, or I'm not sure if there was another council member that went with him to deliver them to the homeowners that won.
Okay, so Alan might be a good person to talk to.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else on this one? Other than we need to look into it a little bit more, but it's good that you remembered to bring it forward, which is good. All right, we have a motion to go with the contest as same as previous years. All in favor? Carried. Then moving on then to the Rural Municipalities Fall Conference. Can I get a motion on this one? Councillor Wakel.
The council approved the CAO and one council member to attend the RMA Fall Convention in Edmonton, November 8th to 10th, 2022.
Okay, thank you. Like I know, is anybody able to make it, interested in making it? Councillor Wakel.
Usually it would be like in years past, in the olden days, the mayor would usually go. Are you available to go to that?
Yeah, I know in the past I've attended it, but in this one I'd have to pass just because of work commitments. So if there was somebody else able to go, it would be good.
You're the deputy mayor, James?
I am.
Yep. Okay. Councillor Martins?
Sorry, I just raised my hand because I would be able to go and I would be interested.
Okay.
If mayor, you're not.
Okay. Yep. Anybody else interested or want to go?
One in the CAO is enough.
Yeah.
So.
Well, no, it can only be one.
Yeah, no, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Is
But I just want to make sure if there was anybody else that was interested and able to go, that they had the opportunity to.
Did you miss the last one? You missed the
And
AUMA.
I apologize,
right?
I didn't hear if Mr. Wakel, Councilor Wakel was interested. Is he interested in going? I can't hear it back there.
Oh,
yeah, no. It's if you're willing to go to that, Sasha, that's fine. You take better notes than I do.
Sure, but Councilor Wakel, you didn't get a chance to go to the AUMA, so, you know, I didn't see you, I mean, I can't see if you raised your hand or said something before me. I didn't want to just jump in there if you already had, sorry.
No, it's fine. I'm hoping to hopefully have a job by then, and asking for days off right when you start is bad. So.
okay, so I think we've got that nailed down. We had the motion. All in favor? Carried. Moving on then to item 9.1, the budget guidelines. Can I get a motion on this? Councillor Dunn?
That the 2023 operating and capital budgets and 2023 to 2027 operating and capital budget forecast be prepared in accordance with the guiding principles as detailed in this report.
All right, thank you. And this is a very good segue into, for those, I think everybody here knows our new CAO with Bill, so welcome to our council and your inaugural meeting. And I'll turn it over to you to perhaps just summarize what you were thinking with this RFD.
Thank you, and through the mayor, again, just a clarification on option one. Under the MGA, municipalities are required to prepare at a minimum a 3-year operating forecast and a 5-year capital. So that is the intent, even though the motion's worded both operating and capital for 223 to 227 should be operating for that 3-year forecast and capital for the 5-year forecast. Again, it doesn't impact the presentation of the 223 operating or capital budgets, but just a slight clarification. The budget is the premier document that's approved by council on an annual basis. It sets out the programs that are going to be delivered by council, the level of services the residents are going to see, and it's a way of council moving its strategic priorities forward during the budget presentation. So once the budget's adopted, staff and administration would be then moving to implement the budget by delivering the programs that council has specifically articulated in the budget. In terms of the options and benefits of the process that's being put forward, there's some assumptions that we're looking for direction on council, whether they wish to amend these underlying framework for the budget development or not. These are sort of core principles from administrative perspective. One is to maintain existing service standards. Obviously, we always strive to improve customer service, keep tax rates competitive. That doesn't mean tax rates won't go up, but at least keep tax rates competitive. Incorporate a proactive infrastructure renewal plan. As everyone realizes, there's certain infrastructure within the town that is aging, and without the proper maintenance and or rehabilitation, we could have failures in some of our infrastructure. And again, staff always strive, and council is directive to increase and to capture any efficiencies we can. And I'll give you some examples when we get into the more specifics on that. And the last item is to ensure that our rates and fees are reflective of the direction council's provided. Council last year dealt with a multi-year rate increase for water, and there may be other areas of a lesser impact on the budget. But again, any rates and fees in the departmental operating budgets will be reviewed prior to budget. And if there isn't enough lead time to deal with them prior to the budget being decided on by council, staff are committed to continue that review on an ongoing basis, for we're not rushing things just because of the budget timeline. And again, more specifics of the direction that the senior leadership team has been given is to freeze most accounts at the 2022 budget level unless specific cost pressures and increases are known and have been documented. Again, strict evaluation of funding requests from administrative perspective. So we will not be allowing staff to blend new initiatives in the base budget. They will be segregated and presented to council. Here's what you need to maintain the base. Here's some new initiatives that may increase services, or they may be required because of legislative requirements, health and safety, and the like. But they will be presented to council in a different viewpoint rather than blended with the overall budget. And again, it's important to reinforce those priorities of council and reallocate or seek additional funding resources within the budget. Some of the major anticipated budget pressures that are going to impact the 2023 budget are similar to the themes that have been happening for the last number of years. Provincial downloading will still be an issue in the 2023 budget, mainly related to the mandatory provincial contributions for policing services. So that will add another $40,000 of pressure in the 2023 budget. Just for council's information, that over the last 3 years has added $132,000 of pressure to the town's operating budget. And in terms of a tax rate impact, that's equivalent to a 3.3% impact in the tax rate. Again, there's been improvements to the CPP program and additional cost pressures in the EI program. Those are estimated to cost an additional employer contribution and the offsetting employee contributions of $11,500. The cost of living will be dealt with in camera, not necessarily at this meeting, but prior to the budget being presented to council. Again, there's a whole myriad of increases, specifically in electricity, natural gas, chemicals, and core maintenance supplies. One of the ones that was left off the list is insurance rates. Given the nature of the insurance claims all across Alberta, but all across the country, random events that are happening, not so random, others would argue, related to environmental issues. We're seeing, and all municipalities are seeing, increased insurance premiums. Again, there's been modest, and I would say constraint rate increases in the past, but there will be pressure for sure on the insurance premiums. Again, the town is heavily endowed with assets, operating facilities, and the like. It's important that the municipality protects its interests through insurance. The good news story is interest rates are increasing. Myself and the treasurer are also looking to optimize our investment returns by changing some of the investment horizons. The practice of the town in the past has been to purchase 30, 60, 90-day GICs, that type of routine. Well, some of the money that's in reserves won't be required in the near future, so we can enhance our investment returns significantly by staggering those investments. Everything that will be done, of course, will be done in accordance with the Municipal Government Act. So that's sort of the highlights of the direction we're asking council to endorse, to allow administration to prepare the budget on that basis and bring forward a document and proposed budget that will articulate those competing demands of cost containment versus the realities of running the businesses and service levels of the town. Again, the framework for the budget deliberations, council will have a proposed budget in front of them, articulating what's in the base versus what's new or enhanced. Some of the new and enhanced will be revenue items. Hopefully council will find those as a means of mitigating the potential increases in tax rates. But in all cases, council will have the option of accepting, rejecting the service levels, asking for reviews of services, deferral of issues, reserve draws, or combination tax rate increases, tax rate shifts between classes. All those options and analysis and scenarios will be dealt with once we know the totality of the demands that are going to be on the town from a fiscal perspective. Council is very well aware of, that's mainly on the operating side. On the capital side, mainly due to provincial retrenchment, this town and all towns in all municipalities in the province have had reductions to their MSI contributions from the province, and that has resulted in hundreds of thousands of dollars in reductions. Similar reductions will be for the next number of years. There will be a program to replace the MSI. However, there is no guarantees of what level of funding that will be at. So it's a wait and see game from the provincial perspective. Again, staff will be continuing to review the base budget and looking at ways to optimize service delivery in the future. Some of the additional things that are on the horizon that are paramount, we talk about the 223 budget, but the town has a lot of assets that have life anywhere from 5 to 50 years. Municipalities are now actively working on asset management plans. The administration is actively pursuing that to give council a better articulation of where the limited resources should be put in terms of the renewal of the infrastructure. So again, we're targeting November 17th to have the budget document prepared and released to council and the public, and that would be followed by a number of budget deliberations. And the timing of that, given I haven't gone through that with this municipality, could vary, and council may have additional requests. Generally, the process that I'm recommending to council is have the presentation of the budget. If there's outstanding questions, they would be reported to council council at the next budget deliberation to allow some staff to fine tune the request and further information council may need. There are no specific cost implications yet relating to this process. Obviously, the budget may have some cost implications into 23 or future years. So that concludes the presentation, and I'll turn it back to the mayor.
All right, thank you for that. And I'll just open up the floor for any questions people have on that process to clarify it and go from there. Councillor Danaka.
So you you plan to have the budget document ready by November 17th. Is that what you said?
Yes. Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So we have to have an interim budget finalized by the end of December, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So at this point, we don't know when our budget meetings are going to be.
I apologize, no, we haven't calendarized that.
Okay.
That's something council could consider tonight to set aside some dates for budget deliberations. Again, I'm not familiar with the practice last year.
Right.
If I could, in terms of the interim budget, maybe the treasurer can help me out here. Was that done on a calendarized basis, or was it done? My practice is, in terms of the interim budget, is just to take roughly 60% of last year's base budget and have council adopt that as the interim budget. And that would be premised on no new services would be included in that envelope, and that would provide the lead time for council to consider the budget in totality, would allow the normal operating expenditures to be basically paid and be in compliance with the Municipal Government Act. So it doesn't have to be done at a very detailed level for that interim budget. That's the message I'm sending.
I can say that as a council, we had hoped to get something a little more finalized in the interim so that it didn't change too much by the time we got to the final one, so that we had a fairly good idea of where we were going. That was our hope, is to get a little more, finalized before then. So having some more of those bigger discussions earlier if we could. But I know, and again, we've got some time, and I know all of the administration and staff has to get the budgets together, but we can, as council, we're prepared to meet, on non-council days and pick some dates to meet and discuss budget and go over that, like have special meetings for budget.
And as I'm trying to allude to, the document will be laid out that it will be very clear where the base budget is, and what are the pressures in the base versus what are new initiatives or changes in service standards that staff may be seeking. But again, the guidelines, unless it's something that is specifically tied to those strategic initiatives of council, I don't anticipate that list to be very long.
Okay, so you're thinking it could go pretty quick to go through, here's the budget, here's the changes, what, do you approve it or not approve each of these changes as we go through?
That's correct, and the unknown right now, and we have some positive news in terms of the assessment growth that will be there, but until the assessment roll comes in late January, early February, the implications on the tax rate really won't be known. So we'll be using some proxies for that budget deliberation discussion.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions at this time?
So, to the CAO, do you suggest that we pick dates now, like right now since we're on the budget, or do that like after the meeting so we can finalize some dates? What's your suggestion?
As councillors are very aware, the sooner we nail down those meeting dates, the easier it's going to be to schedule them as we get closer to the date, there's always conflicts. So there is a bit of lead time right now. As the mayor suggested, if it's going to be done off the normal council meeting dates, there may be more flexibility to target some dates now. But
Yeah,
again,
it would be good to get those dates set ahead of time, so I can give my schedule to saying I need these days off to my work, so they're not juggling everything as well. So the sooner we get those down, the better it works for everybody. I agree.
Okay, so we will work on some dates here. I know we do have one motion that we got to get through, but we can pick some dates and go from there. Like I'm thinking, you know, we could have one just like on the 17th. It could be the start of the budget, because that's when you wanted to introduce it, and then maybe another 2 more specific dates afterwards to get through it. Would that seem about right? And then if we needed one of the council meetings, we could use some of that too, somewhere in there, because there would be one council meeting, maybe 2 in there too.
Okay, so the 17th is a Thursday. We would have council on the 22nd, and then after that, we wouldn't have another council meeting until the 13th of December. And December's always been a little bit sketchy because, I don't know, there's something happens in December. But like, yeah, if we met on the 17th and the 30th, or even the 17th and the 24th, you know, both Thursdays there,
Okay.
to start with, to hammer it out.
Yeah, everybody, let's just start. Everybody's okay with the 17th. It's a Thursday. Oh, okay.
Depending on your expectation here, the 17th, the document will be finalized, but I don't think we'll be able to get it to you 3 days prior to the 17th.
Oh, okay.
So just, if you want it and receive it on that day, you won't have had time to review it. That's the only contingency here.
Good, through the mayor. Rita's correct that there, you know, it's tight, but I perceive the 17th as basically the release of the document, but administration would do a full presentation on the budget and what's in that document. So there'd be a full presentation done, a combination of the treasurer and myself, to articulate in a PowerPoint presentation what's driving the budget.
That's
On the 17th, right?
Okay, so the 17th would be a budget presentation, and then we could go back over the budget and identify, you know, we would, as a council, we would understand the budget well. The next meeting would be to sort of go back and talk about each of those items and any of the changes and go yay or nay and move on from there.
Correct.
Okay, so the 17th is good with everybody? Is there anybody?
What time?
I am thinking 6 o'clock. Anybody have a problem with 6? 6? Oh, she's got a thumbs up, as meaning good, or a question? You're good, okay. Okay, I don't hear any objections to 6 o'clock, so we can start at 6 on the 17th. And what about the suggestion was there on the 24th to sort of start through the budget process? How does that work for people? That's the Thursday again? At 6 o'clock again, would that work? I see Sasha's nodding, that's good, yeah, and everybody, nobody is saying no. right, so we got 2 dates, and we should probably schedule in one other date just to, yeah, I think we'll probably need one more to get through our discussions, and if we don't need it, we don't have to use it. So I'm thinking December 1st or December 8th. Would either of those dates work? It's a Thursday again, gets us away from council.
Yeah, I know, I have to be Zoom, but yeah,
Both of those dates you'd have to be by Zoom.
29th and 1st, yeah. 29th for council and the 1st for.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Now would the 8th work to be in?
Would be better for me.
Okay. Does December 8th work for others? I see some nods. Sasha, I see a nod.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, may I interrupt? Did someone in the room there say that they needed to be on Zoom for either the 1st or the 8th?
Yeah, the 1st did not work well for Councillor Dunn. He could maybe join by Zoom, but he said that the 8th would work better, so we're looking at that as an option.
Okay, because I was gonna say, please don't. I think we all need to be in the room. It's really difficult, especially for a budget meeting, Zoom's out. So let's pick something where we can all be in the room. It's hard enough to do a council meeting on Zoom, much less the budget meeting. I was gonna say, if Councillor Dunn can't make the 1st, what about the end of November, like, I don't know, the 30th, closer to the 29th, 30th, somewhere in there? But it sounds like he can make the 8th.
Yeah, the 29th, 30th, and the 1st, he's not available. Yeah, he's out of town. So that's why we shot for the 8th.
And
We could even, we have the Tuesday, the 6th is not a council meeting, so we could do the 6th if that works for people, but
6th works for me, but.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I have the Red Wing schedule in front of me to make sure that I'm not double booking myself.
yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna, do we want to go with the 6th? Would that give administration enough time, December 6th, the Tuesday? Yeah. I see everybody nodding. I don't see any that doesn't work. So let's go with December 6th at 6 o'clock. We have a schedule.
Like 30? Yeah.
So the 17th, the 24th, and the 6th at 6 o'clock.
Correct.
Okay. I will make sure I have that off.
Okay, now we'll make a motion to that effect so it's captured after we have the motion is on the floor to deal with the capital budgets and the guiding principles. So maybe let's go back to those guiding principles, and do we want to, is there any changes or questions, Councillor Martins?
sorry, I didn't want to interrupt the scheduling. So we've got a schedule, which is fantastic. My question for CAO Buchanan, on the end of page 17, when we talked about efficiencies and cost savings, and this came up in our committee of the whole meeting, are all of the department heads privy to kind of having a critical eye on both efficiencies and, and maybe additional revenue generation, or is that something you're going to look at for each of the silos, or is each staff head equipped and knows that they are to look for this in the 2023 budget? Is it just something that you and Rita will look at, or is each manager been, I know you've only been here for a few days, but has that been communicated that for the 2023 budget, it's critical that we, we're looking to, there's the good news is assessment will likely help us out, but that each department head go through, it's a question, I don't know, has that been communicated, or is it something that you were looking to do a deep dive on?
Through the mayor, it's a combination of both. I've articulated to numerous of the leadership team members that this would be an RFD to that effect would be presented to council tonight. The leadership team is meeting tomorrow. We'll be again going through some of the challenges of the exercise, but the message will be, we need to explore options. I know the town's been under fiscal constraint for a number of years. There's been numerous items that have been found in terms of efficiencies. Are we there yet? No. Myself and the treasurer are currently reviewing the investment options. That will provide some relief, but again, it's all those little things that we're looking at that are going to be explored. Some of them will be have no implications on service levels. If they do, we'd be bringing those back to council prior to implementing, or we're not going to hide any service level implications in the budget document. If there are service level implications, those will be articulated to council, because that's what that's what council's role in the budget process is, to determine those service levels. Of course, we'll be striving to review minor things like how much we're charging for NSF checks and things like that, and those are the mundane things. Some of those may not happen before the budget deliberations happen, but if we are moving in a direction that is easy to implement, and we don't think council will have a difficulty with it, we may make suggestions from a budgetary perspective, but advise council that we would have to bring forward a formal RFD to change the bylaw or to do something to formally implement it. But we could potentially amend the budget to give effect to those high viable options that during the budget deliberation council seems to be very supportive of.
You're good? Yep, okay, good. All right, anything? Oh, okay. Anything else regarding the process? Personally, I think it's well laid out. I like the idea of saying, everything that's above or a change to the service levels should be identified, any increases, and then you can go through and identify and either, see what it is. I really like that idea. And I guess the other thing is, I know last year we had some of that same, there was some one-time projects that were built in, and hopefully those get sort of taken out of the norm when we look at the new budget, right? There was some one-time things that had to get built in, and if we have those out, we got a good starting point.
Yeah.
Councillor Dunn?
Just wondering, who sets the standard for efficiency, though? If we're looking for efficiencies or lack of efficiencies in determining, where can we make changes that are going to be beneficial to the service or to the community, and I know we don't want to be micromanagement, but at the same time, there needs to be a standard that everybody can agree to, that this is what we're looking for. If we don't see this running effectively to this degree, then we need to make changes, right? It's like my interpretation of clean house is probably going to be somebody totally different than somebody else's interpretation of a clean house. So who's going to set the standard for that, right?
If I could, through the mayor, I think it's a multi-layer approach. The approach that I'm going to be taking is looking at best practices and where we stand in terms of best practices in the industry. To give you an example of things that we will likely explore, currently we allocate our insurance premiums, and we got 12 departments, we split it out, and that's the allocation. That's probably not the best way to do it from a best practice. You should look at what areas are high risk. So recreation, water, fire, those are the high risk areas, and of course roads are the high area as it relates to municipalities. Some of those we have cost agreements with other municipalities. Some of them we have fees related to those services. So again, that would inform the rate setting process and other processes. So it's not that administration is going to try to set service standards for the council. Of course, if there's some inefficiencies in programs where this program costs an exorbitant amount of money and the participation rate by the community is very limited. Those are opportunities we would present the council, whether they wish to provide that same level of service. That's more likely a year two thing, but if I don't like to use the word housekeeping, but there's some standard practices that administration needs to review that could achieve further efficiencies and or reduce staff input and redeploy, to higher value uses. If staff are doing things that aren't adding value in the process, well, let's get to the core things that could add value without me coming back to council and saying, well, I need additional staff person because of A, B, and C. Let's drive the efficiencies, cross-training, those type of things that will be triggering. Numerous of the managers will also have ideas on terms of their particular operations, what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. So the value of having a new CAO is allowing people to explore those things that they might have been keeping in their bag because they were off the table on their past regime. So again, it's a multi-phase process. Start with a little low-lying fruit and build from there.
Thank you.
All right, I don't see any other questions there. So we had the motion to prepare the budget in accordance with the guidelines in this document. All in favor? It is carried. I will make a motion that we set aside November 17th, November 24th, and December 6th as budget deliberation dates, all to start at 6 p.m. All right, any questions on that? No? All in favor? Carried. All right, so with that done, we're moving on to our CAO's report and action list. Can I get a motion on this? Councillor Wakel.
Move that we receive CAO's report and action list for information.
All right, thank you. So you're getting in the hot seat again with lots of action here. So I'll turn it over to you again to give us some of your highlights and go from there.
Again, the week was an interesting week. I learned some new things about the municipality, and they're all positive things, so that's great. Again, I really don't have much to add other than what's in the report. In terms of addressing sort of the last question, when we have our senior leadership meeting tomorrow, we're going to be suggesting that the reports provide two bases. The historical basis, which is here, but also give council some highlights of what may be coming up in the next week or 2 weeks or whatever, so you're not waiting to the after report. There'll be some heads up of what's coming down the pipe that administration is working on that may impact, you may hear something from the residents that we're doing that traditionally would not get to you unless there was a more proactive go forward plan. So that would be part of the enhancements that I'd like to be making on the staff reports that are coming forward. It's great historical information, but there could be a couple specific things out there that are happening that we're partnering or staff training or the like that council may be very interested in. So we'll be trying to make them a bit more forward-looking. Again, the action list, I really haven't got to any of it this week or last week. So there are the normal items that have been there. Some of them are ongoing, but unless there's, if there is any specific questions, I'd be pleased to address them.
All right, thank you. And I'll open the floor to any questions. So they're gonna be easy on you first day? I can't believe we'll be that easy. That's just not,
We
that's
want
not
to
like our
keep this
council to
one,
be that.
Mr. Mayor. We don't want to scare them off.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, I know it is only week one on the job, so everybody is being nice on that front. Give him time to get his feet underneath him and get some questions answered. No questions at this point? Okay.
We'll beat them up next meeting.
Yeah, well, maybe I'll just add one, and it's probably more for James, is the rural renewal stream. Has there been any update on that? Was submitted and sent in?
I haven't. I'll touch base again with Deanna Bassard and see how that's going. I haven't heard. I know it's been submitted, and I think the next decision as a whole is made beginning of November, beginning of December. But I'll touch base with Deanna Bassard there and bring a report back for next council on that.
Okay, sounds good. All right, nothing else? So we had the motion to receive his report for information. All in favor? Good, that's carried. So we're moving on to council's reports with Councillor Danaka.
Just a couple of things. I attended the Truth and Reconciliation opening of the gallery at the museum. It was very well attended. The only other thing I did was I took in the quilt show on the 4th at the curling rink. We have some very, very talented individuals in town and in the surrounding areas. A lot of the quilts were absolutely gorgeous. And I submit my verbal report for information.
All right, any questions or comments for Councillor Danaka? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. Moving on to Councillor Dunn.
I attended on Monday, before I headed to high level, I attended the Community Education Council meeting. Really good to see that numbers are up for the college, also that programming is up, and that they have looked at ways to utilize the kitchen that they built there and all that, given that it's not really being used. And so they actually are, what I found interesting and really I think beneficial to the community, is they've created a camp cook program, and they're going to be offering that. And I think they said, pretty sure they said that it was already full, or if not full, there are only a few spots left, and that people were actually, different organizations were paying for, or communities were paying for people to attend and take those courses. So the college is making some money on it. So and then in terms of the council, they just talked about programs that are being offered, and you can view those on their what do you call it? Call it not the card, the Community Education Council board. So that's online.
All right, any questions on that? Comments? No? No, Camp Cook started today.
Did it?
Yeah, it was good to see some new faces there. All right, no questions, all in favor? Carried. All right, Councillor Martins.
Good evening, everyone. So for the period doctor tour occurred on the 28th, and we actually had the added bonus of having a tour by the mayor of Northern Lakes College. It was fantastic. Dr. Courage, cross my fingers and cross my toes, is very excited and is likely to make Highbury his home, but that's a little preemptive to say. The tour went really well. They're a young married couple. His wife happens to be a medical lab specialist. The official title is medical lab scientist, but so it's really exciting. She'll be here in November. He liked what he saw. He liked the amenity. He liked what he saw in Highbury. And thank you, Mayor, for just giving us a warm tour there. On the 29th, we had our first physician healthcare professionals attraction and retention meeting, and it was really great. Always represented me of Highbury, represented one of the items that came from one of the members was that because this is physician recruitment, it impacts not just the county and the town, and as such, the suggestion on the floor was to open it up to some of the surrounding First Nations and settlements, and so the committee, the council agreed. We have that going forward as well. A lot of you will, all of you should see a survey coming up before our next meeting. We're meeting again at the end of October. There's a survey on exactly why it is, what keeps you in Highbury. We just want to know in order to build on a prospectus or a package for future healthcare providers that come into our town. We also have a couple of members from AHS represented on the council, so it's a fairly well-rounded group. One of our councils, Councilor Rishish, was also on the committee. So it was great to have our first one underway that evening. Then, as Councilor Tanaka mentioned, on the 30th was Truth and Reconciliation Day. It opened with a prayer and smudge from Elder Joyce Hunt from Seven Creek. It was fantastic. We had a blanket exercise. It was really moving, and it was really good to participate in that entire day, which culminated in the museum special exhibit and the walk before that. On October 4th, they had, we celebrated not celebrated, but acknowledged the missing and murdered Indigenous peoples event. There was a walk as well. The town, repeatedly, I was told to thank the town for putting up the dresses along the route of the walk, and that was a really good day event as well. Those were the things that I had to report. Any questions? I'm happy to take. Otherwise, I move my report for information.
All right, thank you. Any questions, comment? Councilor Yushishin.
Just wondering if the beautiful gray kitty could answer some questions. Looks like he was ready to go out for a walk pretty quick there. Beautiful.
Yeah. All right, I don't see any other questions, so all in favor? Carried. For my report, basically it had already been talked about, the Truth and Reconciliation events on the 30th there. Was very good, participated in some of the stuff at the Children's Resource Center and the walk, and the opening of the Truth and Reconciliation exhibit at the museum was good. We had our meeting of the whole, but everybody was at that. The one thing that I did do that's a little bit different is followed up with Canadian Fiber Optics and seeing if they were interested or able to put in a booth at our town hall meeting. And they were interested in being able to do that, at least having a booth there. They were still working on who could do a presentation that would be good, if they would do a presentation on fiber optics and what it would bring to the community. So we're good for that. That looks good. And I think that would have to be on one of those we have to get organizing and communicating that November 1st date out there, because she was interested. And the other thing is a little bit like our new CAO mentioned, looking forward and getting prepared. There's a Northern Alberta elected leaders meeting coming up, and I just was wondering if there was anything that council thought I should be bringing forward to that committee. They're setting the agenda now, so I would bring it forward. I got two hands up. I'll go with Councillor Martins and then Councillor Wakel.
Thank you. So our Lester Slave Lake Health Advisory Council is still looking to recruit. We don't have representation from some of the settlements around us or First Nations. I did speak with Chief Willier, and I happened to also meet his executive assistant. So that plug is there for Separate Creek, but maybe kind of reinforce the message if he isn't already signed up. I'm not sure who else is on your MACLA thing, but just open it up to everyone, because it's relevant. And if it's not in the Lesser Slave region, the North Zone, they have two, True North I think it's called. They're both looking to recruit at this point. I'm happy to forward you offline the lady who mans both those things. Her name is Erin. That's number one. Number two, as you heard me mention in my reports, the Attraction and Retention Committee, we'd like a representative from each of our surrounding communities. So maybe just even for awareness, mention it and see if we have any interest.
Okay, thanks. Now, I think there might be some confusion over the meeting that I'm referring to there. I think you're referring to ANCA, which is the Alberta North Central Alliance. And that's the committee where we meet with the First Nation communities. That's not the meeting that's coming right up. That ANCA meeting is... they're trying to find a date to put together the strategic plan, and I will definitely bring those items forward when we meet with ANCA. The Northern Alberta Elected Leaders meeting does not include the First Nations or Métis communities in it, and it's more it's usually mayors and CAOs from all of the municipalities, both urban and rural, for the north, from high level down to Slave Lake kind of thing. So it's a different audience there.
So you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right that the Indigenous communities around us, I was referring to ANCA, but even with your NAEL, the leaders, both of those would be within the purview of the HAC. We're still lagging members of the Health Advisory Council, so, mention to the leaders, and they can, if they're not interested or don't have the bandwidth, maybe some of their council counterparts or even community members would, there's been a challenge in reaching some of the, even as far as high level, the North, because there's two, one for True North, and you meet with that exact contingent. So even mention it to the rural and whoever your counterparts are in that, the more people that know about it and can participate, the better our voice is, because it's nice to have them come to the table, because right now we don't have them.
Yeah, is there specific areas that they're missing representation from?
The North especially, and Erin is better advised to have fill in the gaps, but really she kind of pushed back at us and said, look, it's kind of your region, your Health Advisory Council, who do you want at the table? So I think right now there's a lot of gaps, especially in the True North. I think Lesser Slave Lake, is better, has better membership, but I think the True North, certainly, I reached out to Mackenzie County, I reached out to, but it's tough, unless you're focused on recruiting, I mentioned it, but I haven't followed up, even the higher level region, so I can ask her to send you what the gaps are specifically, and if there's some fit with the people that you're meeting, then it'd be great to mention it.
Sure, yeah, I can do that. Thank you. Councillor Wakel.
The downloading of costs of the RCMP onto us. And on top of that, the fact that our brand new premier this morning said that, well, maybe we're not going to get rid of the RCMP, maybe we're going to bring in a provincial police force to augment them, which is just going to cost us more money. So we need to protest the fact that we fought for a long time to get out from underneath the thumb of the having to pay all the money out for the RCMP because we are so small. And so we need to push that thumb off and fight against any idea of replacing or augmenting the RCMP with a provincial police force because it's just going to cost us money. It'll drive towns and counties into bankruptcy.
Okay, yeah, that's been a topic that's been on the agenda a couple of times. It's been an ongoing one, so yeah, I can bring that up. So, got those feedbacks with nothing else. I'll move my report for information unless there's questions about something else that I had in my report. Seeing nothing, all in favor? Carried. Councillor Wakel?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Not a whole bunch, a couple things. I did participate in the blanket exercise on Truth and Reconciliation Day over at the Children's Resource Center, and wow, like, I don't know what I expected, but it wasn't that. And if anybody's watching this, or I think everybody here has done it, but if anybody's watching this, if you haven't taken part in a blanket exercise, I highly recommend it. It's quite emotional. The story just comes through, and the crap that the First Nations and Métis and Inuit and everybody that have gone through, and the blanket exercise really gives you a visual representation of that. Like, I had goosebumps to participating in this, right? So highly, highly recommend it, and thank you to the CRC for organizing that, and Elder Linda there for the prayer and the smudging and everything is wonderful. And the bannock was really tasty too. Library board met the other day, put the budget together. I believe that's been presented. Have you been given the budget from the library, Rita? No? Okay, well, we put it together the other day. Maybe they're coming in this week. The long and the short of it is the library budget is going up a little bit, but the requisition from the town is staying the same. They've been able to maneuver some things to do that. Some things have gone up, some things have gone down. There's been some money, so that's that. Another thing that came out of that meeting there, when the doctors were on their tour, and they specifically mentioned this, Sasha, thank you for taking the doctor there and showing them the library, because the doctor was like, wow. And this is something that I think that we really need to remember, that in our community, when we're showing them the doctors and the professionals who are looking to come to our community, we can't forget about things like our library, like our museum, because it's not just all hockey and curling and you know, the outdoors stuff. Some people want that cultural element. So again, Sasha, thank you so much for taking the. Tracy was really, really appreciative of the fact that you brought the doctor there, and the doctor was apparently just amazed at. It's like, wow, this is so wonderful. So that's a good indication that, you know, it's a positive thing to have in the community. Something else, I had a person from town there give me a shout, and they just wanted me to say thank you to Marigold for planting some trees around their lot and making it look good. You know, they would like other trees to be planted in town. Something maybe that we can check with, God, my word whispers are terrible tonight, I apologize. With Vern is, can we plant trees at that old dump behind the subway there where the daycare used to be? I know the monitoring things are there. Just, I don't know, plant something. some red willows even to stabilize the bank. That, and there's other areas in town, like he said, you know, it'd be nice if West Fraser would plant some trees out front and stuff like that, but just to beautify the town, because we used to have a lot more trees in town. I know a lot of them were cut down because they were destroying the infrastructure underneath. All the trees that used to be in front of Friesen Brothers were ripping up the sewer and stuff down there, so they had to go. I get that, but it would just be nice if we could increase the number of trees in town. And that's my report. I've moved for information.
Okay, any questions, comments for Councillor Wakel? Seeing none, all in favor? Thank you. Councillor Yashishin.
Since our last meeting, I had one meeting, and one was canceled. There wasn't quorum for it. That was the FCSS. But I did attend the one meeting that I had, which was September 29th, that Councillor Martins indicated there, the Attraction and Retention Committee meeting. We met at Big Lakes County. It was our first meeting, so it was the initial meeting, and it was a really good meeting. I thought we worked on the terms of reference, so that took a little bit of time, but it was important to get that right and get that down because it's brand new, so that was very important. Time well spent. Then we spent a little bit of time on the selection of the committee members, as Councillor Martin indicated there as well. So I think that'll be really, really good there. I think that'll really complement, and very extremely important to add is the First Nation communities there as well. And then we worked on like the committee's vision and role, just to really get that down pat so that we had that, which was important also. So for our next meeting, we'll build on those first initiatives and build from there. We'll see the where we go with the committee members as well, if we're adding a few there. Our next meeting is end of the month here, so end of October. I believe it's like the 24th, so we'll have a little bit more, to report then. But like I say, it was really good start, really good first meeting, a lot of conversation, and I think we're set there. Otherwise, that's my verbal report. Any questions?
Okay, I don't see any questions, and you're moving your report?
I move my report.
All right. All in favor? Carried. All right, so at this point, we'll take a break, and we do have item 17, the confidential item that we will go into after a 10-minute break, and then we'll get into that.